It's Movie Time is produced by John DeSando. Listen to the full shows and read reviews online at WCBE.org.
I'm John DeSando.
And I'm Kevin Carr.
And although you won't know it by the video, we are actually, it's movie time.
It's movie time.
A headline from the New York Times says, Avengers is causing gridlock at theaters.
I can see that. It had 90%. 90% of all tickets sold that weekend was for the Avengers.
1.2 billion worldwide.
That's a lot.
300 million in China.
Mm-hmm. It made so much worldwide. Just at the end of Sunday, it was in the top 18 of all time movies.
Yeah, it's the best opening, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Okay.
I'm saying it's the top 18.
Sure.
It's made more
Altogether.
than everything but 18 other movies. 17 other movies.
Well, all right, we're talking Avengers, Endgame.
Yep.
Kev, is it worth 1.2 billion?
Well, that's a loaded question. Look, it's the most anticipated movie of the year. It was a sellout all over the country and all over the world. I have to say, I have not seen, with the exception of maybe The Force Awakens, when that came out, I've never seen this much hype and focus on a specific movie, and people wanting to see it. And that's because it's where 21 other movies led, and that's unheard of. I mean, they just announced a new Bond movie, and they're only at 25. Yeah. And that thing started in the 60s. This thing started 11 years ago.
For Avengers, we're talking 11, you're right, 11 years. So there's a lot of build-up. In fact, I'm not sure there was any more of a promoting build-up. It's just within the population who have lived those 11 years, waiting for this. Last year's Infinity Wars was a big winner.
Yeah, it broke records for, I believe, opening day and opening weekend. But yeah, then Endgame's just obliterated that.
Now, Kevin, you're dressed as Thor.
Yes, is my favorite Avenger from Endgame.
Chris Hemsworth becomes something of a hippie or a dissolute.
He takes his own path down the dude abides route.
For our video watchers, Kevin's in a golden hoodie with his signature beard and his Stark glasses.
Yes.
Notice Stark glasses. So, Kevin, what makes this work? I mean, can you? There are people who are listening to our show who have never seen an Avengers movie, and and Marvel is certainly at the top of the heap. Remember, DC Comics is its rival.
It's different,
but Marvel is surely just stamping out everybody else. So, what is it?
Well, it's become a cultural phenomenon. I think that's really the big thing. And you don't have to have seen all 21 movies. Let's be honest, you don't.
Yeah.
But for those of you who've never seen a movie and are like, who's that spider guy? This may not be for you because it doesn't do a catch-up. Now, you can go on YouTube and find that stuff.
Right.
That'll catch you up to Endgame. But this is for the people who everyone from the people who religiously watched all the movies to the people who've casually watched them over the years. Maybe they watched the Avengers movies or the big Captain America sequels. But, if you've not seen the original Incredible Hulk, or if you didn't see Doctor Strange or Ant-Man, the original one, you probably aren't going to be lost. I mean, there's a lot of people who haven't even seen Captain Marvel yet, and they're seeing this. But the point is that this was set up as a long form, almost as like a TV series with their own different installments and interconnected, which, by the way, they've been doing in the comics for decades.
Yes.
That they were never able to do in the big picture, whereas with Marvel Studios, Kevin Feige was able to get that to work over the past 11 years and not have any sort of bombs in the process.
Well, I would have to say my favorite villain of them all is Thanos.
Thanos he's pretty formidable.
Yeah, I mean, besides Loki, whom I always like, because he's slithery. But Thanos seems to me to be a qualified opponent to all of these.
He's a zealot, and that's what makes him work, because he fully believes what he's doing is right.
Right, and we're not letting out too much by saying he's already dissed half the population of the world with the snap of a finger.
Universe.
Right, the universe, right. So he's formidable, appears to be unstoppable, which is part, I think, of the energy of the film.
Sure.
Here you have all these superheroes, and they can't seem to stop this one villain.
He does have the Infinity Gauntlet. which, I mean, that gives you the power of time and space in the universe. So
Okay.
that gives them a little bit of an advantage,
Yeah.
from the end of the last movie. Here's the thing: if you look at the structure of the two movies, because you kind of have to look at Infinity War and Endgame together, and Infinity War was Thanos' story.
Okay.
It was his art.
It was for sure.
Which is why you could watch a movie and you won't see Tony. You're like, oh my gosh, Iron Man hasn't been in this movie for 45 minutes.
Yeah.
This one's different. This is about the team working again, and it's in 3 distinct parts, and it kind of works together, but it moves through the end, and the Russo brothers are able to juggle all those storylines so well without having that ongoing arc of Thanos throughout it.
Brilliantly, and I'm so glad you thematically pointed out the collaborative nature of this. First of all, I think of the collaboration of a film like this, which costs at least $300 million to make.
Just to have people show up.
And if you have enough time to sit through the credits at the end, to realize what a collaborative effort. This is really what Americans do well.
Yeah.
And we may not be subtle like European films, but boy, when you put together a superhero film like that, it is worth it. Now, time is a motif.
Sure.
And time is also something you have to think about when you go see this movie.
Yeah. It is 3 hours long.
It is 3 hours long.
The movie is 3 hours long.
Yes. And
with the trailers, it's going to be Lord of the Ring later.
And so it seems to be you almost need a time machine before you get there, thinking, oh my gosh, how am I going to sit through 3 hours? But in fact, their genius is you are not aware of the 3 hours.
You're not, and it's like I said, it isn't. The movie's in 3 parts. Like most movies, there's 3 acts. The first act is where all the slow stuff happens. It's people recovering. It's where you see the motifs of grief and suffering, and the fact that you did all you could do and it wasn't enough, and all the blowback that happened from Infinity War. But that's where all the slow moments are.
Yes.
When they finally get to the second act, where they say, "We're going to try this." That's where it becomes great. That's where it becomes a movie that moves, and you can't. From that point on, there's no slow moments.
Right.
Going all the way into the climax, and then by the time you know you're in the climax, you're like, "Well, I can't go to the bathroom now."
I saw very few people taking a break from this movie, which is just another tribute to how well they framed this together. I will have, as we get to our grading, I will have my usual complaint about all superhero films.
Okay.
And that is about the battling in the third act. It always, and I realize one of the tropes is that they're going to fight in the end. They're going to fight it out. But fisticuffs and bullets for people who can travel in time, I could never figure out why they're fighting almost primitively.
Yeah. Well, and it's funny because I watched the Captain America movie with my son this weekend, and there's Captain America Civil War, and you've got people like laser bolts coming out of Tony Stark's arms, and then you've got Hawkeye shooting arrows. So you're right. They're not on the same playing field.
No, they're
necessarily.
Not.
No matter how good of an archer you are.
Right. Or how much of a superhero you can still be kicked 20 feet.
Yeah.
But you do accept that.
Yeah, it's a suspension of disbelief, like anything. Figuring out the time frame and all that kind of stuff. Yeah,
And Kevin and I were talking earlier about some of the subtleties of the film and who's going to last into another series and so on and what.
Because they're not done.
No, they are not done.
This is not the end by any stretch of the imagination.
But as Kevin began to deconstruct it, it's clear that there are weaknesses in the narration that you must accept, as you do with any comic book. You suspend your disbelief.
Any fantastical story. My Dinner with Andre, there's not a whole lot of suspension of disbelief.
A great contrast.
Yeah. But even something like King Kong, I mean, a great classic movie that draws from that. Anything that has, anything fantastic to it, you've got to have a suspension of disbelief.
All right. The one thing we can't disbelieve, however, is our grade. Kevin Carr, the movie is Avengers Endgame. What grade are you going to award it?
I'm going to give it a solid A, but it may go to an A+ after watching it and doing a double feature.
Oh, Kevin. And I, as I've already hit it, will give it an A- because of my usual prejudice again. But that's high praise for a guy who doesn't go necessarily to see a superhero film. But this one is worth seeing. Maybe buy your tickets online, you think? Even now,
I would, yeah.
Yeah.
I would skip the lines, do the online stuff, get the reserved seat, show up a minute before it starts.
Right.